just a small disclaimer on the double second. I said B flat, but I didn't actually make it B flat, so it is B flat. And also just another one, this is not planned, this is just going with the flow. So hopefully, I'm sure I'm going to make some mistake here and there, but just a disclaimer that I'm just going with the flow with this. I've never done it before, so let's see how it goes. Okay, so I start with the tenor with the melody. What I've noticed is it has an anacrusis, so I just want to put that in. Okay. Also another disclaimer, just another point of note is I mostly use the keyboard shortcuts, but for anyone wondering how it works, so here is where you enter the note. It says N is the letter N is your shortcut. And then these are your note values. And then you position your notes wherever you want on the stave. If you want a quaver there, you can put it there. And then I want a G here. But I don't do that. I mostly use the keyboard shortcuts. But over here, they tell you number 4 is the note value, number 5 is this note value, etc. And then your letters on the keyboard are your notes, your note names. And then your arrows will shift it up or down, etc. So I mainly use the keyboard. I never use the mouse because it's going to take long. Yeah, and then the space bar is to play, etc., etc. So I'll talk about these things as we go along. Okay, and then over here we have a tie, a tied note. If you notice on the lead sheet, it doesn't observe that. That's because it's jazz, you know, it happens here and there. It's not a big deal. But being classically trained, I was taught that you never put a tie between B2 and 3. So I just do it. But sometimes I would leave that out, 2 crotchets, and then carry on. Yeah. I'll explain why I do this later on. Hopefully I don't forget. But let me see if I set that out. I don't care. So you see it goes to B, but obviously we know we don't have the range. It's outside the range of the tenors, so you can shift that up. So these are the things that you have to negotiate as you working through arrangement. And then the lead sheet says I should tie this to a semi-brief like that, but I'm not going to do that. I'll explain later why. But it is assumed that it will continue the note. The teacher must tell the players to roll that note through. Moving on. And then also the dotted note is this dot here. But you have a shortcut for that. I use a shortcut, which it's no, not this. This is a staccato. Here's a dotted note. I use the point on the num block system, the dial or the point. So you see there it's off, now it's on. Another thing is the rest. For my rests, I use the note number or button on the numlock system. So if I say I click 5, which is crotchet, you see it selects it here. So that's 5, or 6 is a minimum, etc. And then if I click the note button, it gives me the rest there. So if I want quaver rest, I'll click 4, note, 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 etc. So that's how you put rests in. Okay. Okay, it repeats. So then what I do is I'll Control Shift right arrow until there. Control C, which is copy. Control V, and then it repeats the whole thing. Okay. And then I'll double check now what happens after here, because normally it transitions to another section. And then here, this is the difference. See, before section B. Okay. Go to the beginning. I want to set the tempo. You can do this here as well. Tempo here. It's important because it's a swing song, so you want to actually incorporate this. Let's see if it does the swing. Yeah, it does. Because sometimes it doesn't, and then you have to develop another, like write it down in a different way. If you didn't know, a swing is typically let me just forgot the shortcut for it now. Let's say I want triplet here. Yeah, there's Control 3. Okay, but now I want crotchet. Control 3. So this is, if I stand corrected, but this is the other version of a swing if you are struggling with that on top. If it can't affect your swing that you've placed here on top. Okay. Anyway, this is not so important. Okay, so I have my section A, and then it's important to also say mark your sections because you're working with bands. So Control M, I'll say that's section A. I'll put a double bar here, signal the start, and then at the end, another one. Signal a section ending, and then this will be section B. Control M, B. Okay, so that's your melody done. Now, this is where you get creative. You think of how are you gonna, what genre in terms of rhythm are you gonna create? What feel are you gonna have in your arrangement? You can have, because you have to think about the bass line, do, you know, with crotchet beats, for example. By the way, another shortcut here is you can actually say C, Control down is to shift it down, Shift C, which is to add a another note as a chord, and then you click R to repeat what you have done. So that's what I've done. Anyway, so you have that, or you can be creative and say, okay, I'm going to play with 1 and 5. Or whatever, or you can walk it. You know, so there's so many things that you can do. So let's see what I come up with. And then your inner voices, rhythm is important. You need to know where to place them. Right now I'm thinking of a cha, dum cha, 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 param pam 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 pum pam pari. I don't like this. That yeah. Okay, so you can have cha, or you can have cha 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 cha, or you can have straight rhythm cha 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 cha, or cha 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 cha. So many options, but I'll keep it simple. So I'm having a cha. Is the rest, and then you have the chord. So here I'm in C major. I assume you know music theory. So C major chord is C, E, G, C. So that's the chord, C, E, G. Now you need to fit in this chord between the two instruments, or the notes of the chord spread into these instruments. So knowing or keeping in mind the ranges, the ideal range and the sweet range, or the sweet spot range, as I've mentioned. So I will have here E and G. I typically do that, and then I'll have CE there in the seconds. That's how I would do it. Sometimes if I have a 7th chord, C, E, G, B, natural, then I would have GB. Something's not right here. This is not in effect. Just redo it. Okay. So I would have GB, CE. Then I have my 7th there. So it's how you invert the chord, etc., etc. Okay, so I'm going to take it back to EG. Don't mind the red stuff. I've already explained the range of the instruments. And then another thing is, okay, I'll save this later. Yes, another thing is, before that, always save your work. Like, as you're working, and something could happen, and then you can lose your work, and then you have to start again. That's why it's just in my system, that Control S. It just happened without me thinking about it. The other thing is, I'm not happy with the sound of MuseScore for the steel pans. So I have the Eliminate steel pan sample library by Andy Narao, which is the authentic steel pan sounds made by Eliminate. I'm going to try and demonstrate now the difference between these sounds. Okay, so here I have a mixer, and then at the bottom here, why is it big now? So I have the mixer here, and then I have the Andy sounds. These are the types of groupings, but I like to use single pans or pan pairs. This is the soprano, so tenors. I'll use forte. So you hear the difference already. It sounds more organic or authentic. And then you can have options here on what type of tenor you want. So not many people have this thing, but if you can get it, it will be really cool to have it. There's different sounds as well, but it doesn't make a difference because you're going to hand out papers. But it just helps you know what the anticipated sound will be. Okay, I'm just going to make this play alone silent so they can only hear the tenor. Okay, second. Okay, so I like tenor 5. I'll select that. Do it again. This is the force, the striking force of the pan on the pan. This is the rolls. You can control the speed. But I won't use it here. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Also, I'll apply all of this now to all those pans. So I just wanted to demonstrate the difference.